Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome Mr. Rollins for our invocation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. May we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. We thank you the way you pour those blessings over us. We thank you for the mothers who were celebrated this weekend. We thank you for placing those angels among us. We thank you for this opportunity to come together in business and fellowship. We ask now that you lead us and direct us. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Mr. Rollins just found out he's going to be a grandfather, so he got a little bit, and we're excited about that. Excited. So that Mother's Day wish was very special to him. We appreciate you and congratulations for that. So I'd like to call this meeting of the Spartanburg 1 Board of Trustees to order. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to everyone, and I was going to add my belated Mother's Day welcome to all the mothers and let everyone know how we appreciate all the mothers and all the grandmothers, godmothers, bonus mothers, and the mothers who mothers who aren't mothers but you're a nurturer. So we want to extend our belated Mother's Day wishes to everyone. And also, I would like to add that on behalf of the board, we would like to extend a sincere appreciation to our teachers on behalf of Teacher Appreciation Week. That was last week, and I think some are celebrating this week. So shout out to all our teachers who are on the front line for us. We see you, we hear you, we appreciate you so much. So I just wanted to share that with everyone as well. So we will begin with our first agenda item, which is the chairman's report, which consists of the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the approval of the agenda, the approval of the board meeting minutes from April the 20th and work session from April the 28th, the approval of the overnight field trips, as listed in your board packet, and the approval of the check registry. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Mr. Green, is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Rollins, for your second. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The consent agenda passes. Thank you so much. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Mark Smith.
Thank you, Ms. McDowell. Welcome to everyone. Also would like to appreciate our teachers and our staff. Wonderful school year so far. We're sprinting through the finish line here, but to echo Ms. McDowell's kind, sweet words to our staff, our teachers, great job. And a week and a half, keep rolling. Going to turn the program over now to Ms. Erica Center, and we're going to recognize some students and staff achievements.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Smith. It is my privilege and honor tonight to recognize some of Spartanburg District 1's finest for their outstanding performance and remarkable accomplishments. We'll begin tonight with recognizing Matthew Bicknell, if Matthew would come forward. Matthew is a 12th grade student at Chapman High School and is also a student at H.B. Swafford Career Center. Matthew was selected as the Technology Champion Student of the Year for the Upstate region. In addition to being recognized tonight by our District 1 Board of Trustees, Matthew will also receive a $500 scholarship as well as a trophy. Congratulations, Matthew.
One second, just so everybody heard that right. That was for the upstate, okay? That was Cherokee County, Spartanburg County, and Union County. This is a huge recognition for one of our finest. We are so, so proud of you. Matthew's mom, Kristen, works for us at Swofford, so it's just amazing, so thank you. Thank you. And we're real proud of you, Dad.
Congratulations. Next, we would like to congratulate the following 10th grade students from Chapman High School on being accepted to the South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Mathematics. We will begin with recognition for Marco Brown. If Marco would come forward. And also Luke McAllister, but Luke was unable to be with us tonight, so we'll congratulate both students.
And about Marco and gotta share, and Luke. Luke came earlier today. Luke's brother's on the baseball team, so the family did not want to miss that. They wanted to be at both, so we did his earlier. But what an awesome honor to be accepted in the governor's school. My only regret is you're not gonna be with us, but we're so proud of him. And his parent, Dr. Brown, is here. He's a fantastic teacher for us at Chapman. So just greatness breeds greatness. So congratulations.
Congratulations. Tonight, we would also like to recognize Senior Master Sergeant Rusty Smith, who is the JROTC teacher at Chapman High School. We'd like to congratulate Mr. Smith on being named the 2026 Spartanburg County District 1 recipient of the Elbert K. Fretwell Outstanding Educator Award. Mr. Smith was unable to be here tonight. He's being recognized at the JROTC Awards ceremony, actually at Chapman High School this evening. So let's give Mr. Smith a round of applause in his absence. Thank you so much.
As a part of my superintendent report tonight, I've been doing executive summaries. So in lieu of an executive summary tonight, I've asked Mr. Josh Loso, our Chief Accountability Officer, to come share with the board and the community the results of our staff survey from this past March. Mr. Loso?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Smith. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity to share the feedback from our staff that is vitally important to our improvement efforts within the school district. Dr. Smith uses this as a cornerstone of the continuous improvement efforts that we have to make sure that we take the staff survey and their feedback into account when making plans for the next school year. And so I just wanted you to know that this is a staff survey, a very short, open-ended question survey, because we also have the South Carolina Department of Education student, staff, and student, staff, and parent survey that has Likert scale questions in order to provide us feedback as well. So this is a three-question open-ended survey in order to give us open, candid responses where they can answer anonymously, so that we can get the true picture of how our staff feels about the climate and culture within our schools. Specifically, we asked three questions. How could we improve the educational experiences and opportunities for our students? So that's a student-centered question. We also asked, what are we doing in Spartanburg 1 that is extremely helpful or effective? And then lastly, we asked, how could we make Spartanburg 1 a better place to work? And so those three questions lended itself to a lot of responses, both positive and negative, in order to provide us feedback to make changes within our school district. Dr. Smith initially starts the process by reading each and every survey response, word by word, line by line. He goes through it first in order to give himself a wide range of what these teachers are talking about, or staff are talking about. Next, he provided us with a small set of us within the leadership team the copies of the survey in order to go on a deeper dive, so that we have the ability to go line by line as well, but also take a moment to digest everything within those surveys. I'll be honest, our first effort was to put it through a closed system AI in order to see what AI would produce as the topics of reference. This is a closed enterprise grade data protections AI. None of this goes outside of our organization, so we're protecting our data within that. But then we realized that it gave a lot of responses that we even compared it with Dr. Smith's candid responses that he had, and it gave us a lot of feedback that was similar. However, it did not have the tenacity that it would need in order for us to feel comfortable sharing it without the human touch of us going through it. So Dr. Brown, Ms. Tesnier, and I went line by line, survey by survey, in order to determine what are the needs of our school district. And what we did is we came up with 26 themes. It seems like a lot, but there's a lot of things that a staff member can talk about within these surveys. So we came up with 26 themes. We read each one together, and we made sure that we tallied whether it was a positive response within that theme or a negative response within that theme. So for example, some teachers enjoyed at a school where they had a lot of collaboration time, while others teachers said that the master schedule did not lend itself to having collaboration time. So there's obviously a positive and negative response for any of the themes. And so we went through and we tallied those, which lended us to have a top 5, both positive and negative responses. So positives that we can continue to build on, and I hesitate to say the word negative, but places where we can improve our school district. So you do have, Ms. Brooks is going to pass out a infographic in order to show you our top 5 indicators of places for improvement and places for strengths. I'm going to start out with the strengths just so that we can focus on the areas of improvement. I'm going to give her just a moment so that you can follow along. In reading these surveys, we definitely found an overwhelming positive response to staff morale. They are happy, they enjoy where they work, they think it's a good atmosphere, they feel supported. So staff morale really seemed to be a prevalent theme. Most notably, as one of our strengths, it appeared in at least a fourth, if not upwards of a third of those surveys. Also, second on the list of strengths is administrative support, both principals and district level support from administration. So they feel supported by their administrators in the building and from the district office, both having an open door policy, having autonomy to do what they want to, but also having guidance when they need it. And then they have leadership advocacy, meaning that we support them in what they want to do, and we have their back whenever they need it. In addition, they really enjoyed the One Award, which was our award system in order to prompt improvements in academic achievement and student and staff attendance. They enjoyed the One Award and the pep rally. These were all efforts that were born from the survey responses from last year. So again, like I spoke about earlier, we are working on continuous improvement, listening to the teachers, listening to the ones that are on the front line. It is crucial for us to hear the voices of those doing the hardest work in the buildings. Fourth on our list of strengths was our student care and culture. Dr. Beeson does a great job of finding and hiring good people that care about our kids, and they love and they care about being in that building in order to provide them with a high level of education and a high level of love that they may not always have in all aspects of their life. So we do a good job of hiring, and we do a good job of providing that student-centered education. And last on our list, which is unfortunately on both sides of the aisle of this survey, is our behavior and discipline. They continue to recognize that we do have a stable structure of a behavior discipline matrix in order to follow. As long as we follow it with efficacy and we do it equally, then they feel comfortable that we are doing what we're supposed to from the discipline and behavior side of things. Moving on to our needs improvements, the most prevalent area of needs improvements was our special populations, being our special education students and our MLL students and program. Most notably, just whenever you have students with special needs, it definitely lends itself to needing and wanting more people to facilitate that type of education. So personnel infrastructure, just wanting and needing more personnel. Also, the testing timeline, just making sure that we're following that with Fidelity to make sure that the testing process is done, but also informing the teachers of how the testing process is going through it. And then lastly, with the MLL students, just trying to get some native language speakers in order to help facilitate their education and their conversations between staff and student. Next on our needs improvement, we have intervention and interventionists. So meaning that there's a high need or want from other teachers to have extra help, specifically from math interventionists, giving the students at all levels the ability to have extra help within that math. Also from the K2 foundational focus, they really want to help bridge the gap of learning loss from COVID, but also early learning literacy with reading and reading development. So they appreciate the interventionists that we have, but they would love to have some more help, or redefine the intervention process to make sure that we're doing it also with fidelity and in a timely fashion. Third, elective opportunities and hands-on learning. So we kind of took this from the K through 12 perspective. They would love some additional opportunities. They love Swofford, but they want to increase the ability for us to send more students. Also at the lower grade levels, they want us to have more hands-on learning, more field trips, more engaging activities, possibly pulling away from Chromebooks, a little bit more hands-on manipulatives or out in the field, college and career-ready assignments. Next, class size, always a concern of any school district anywhere in America. The less students you have in the class, the more effective a teacher will feel that they can be, obviously because they can provide individualized instruction. So class size showed up on both sides, actually, just not as prevalent on the positive side, because we do a great job of keeping our class sizes as low as possible, provided the amount of FTEs that we have to facilitate that. We do a great job of trying to make it equitable. Dr. Beeson and Ms. Center do a great job of working collaboratively to make sure that all schools have the staff that they need to reduce that class size within the budget constraints that we have. And then lastly, for our needs improvement was behavior and discipline. Again, it shows up on both sides. We just want to make sure that we're following it with fidelity. Some teachers responded that there was a little bit of wavering from the matrix to where they didn't feel like the behavior and discipline was being addressed specifically according to the matrix. And so, again, to reiterate the process, we are continuously focused on making us better. We sit down on a weekly, if not daily basis and have conversations about how we get better, how we do better, how we put people in position to succeed, and how we put our students in positions to exceed. So we just want to ensure that we continue to take the voice of those teachers that work hard on our behalf for those students in order to make these decisions, because if we can make them happy, safe, and feeling valued within their position, it translates into a better education for our students. And so at this time, I'd like to take any questions from the board.
I have a question for
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
So what percentage of the survey did we receive back from the teachers and staff?
So that's a great question. We received about 227 responses, which is a little more than a third of our staff. Which is also slightly lower than the past few years.
Okay. Do we ask the same question as the past 3 years? Do we deviate from any of the questions?
3 questions are the same, and the forum and I worked together on that in years past. We've asked a question such as the first year I was here, they wanted in there about would we consider having an early learning center for teachers, children, and so forth. We asked a 4th question last year. I can't remember what it is, but that's really up to the forum, and we work with them on asking the questions they want to ask. And our forum is made up of the last 2 teachers of the year at every school. And what I would like to tell the board is that with the needs, the improvements, because we are wanting to be a district of continuous improvement, we don't think we've arrived. We always got to be going uphill to get better and better for our kids. We are currently working on action plans for these major areas of improvement we want to address. And as we get that finalized, we will share that with the board as well. Some of these things have already been addressed because when I saw them, they couldn't wait. And there's some things, especially with discipline. I went ahead, there was a couple of schools that I won't mention right here, but where I could clearly tell where we had some things we need to improve on, and we're currently working with the principals on those. So it's just great to listen to our staff. I've always had great success working with the staff, with teachers and the staff, just listening, because you can't know everything in my seat. That's just not possible. And if you listen to your stakeholders, they'll point you to the North Star. So we continue to listen. I appreciate the positives they gave us, but we're working on hearing them for the improvements. And they brought up areas in special ed for the last 2 or 3 years, and I sat through a presentation the other day from Ms. Goins, our Director of Special Pops, with a wonderful plan to address their concerns. So we are listening, and I will, at some point, we will present back to the board our action plans to address these concerns.
I have two questions.
Sure.
The first one is there an option to put your name in school?
There is not. We do keep it anonymous. We have had that discussion to enable us to zero in on schools specifically. We haven't necessarily had the conversation about names, but it would benefit us more to have the school available just so that we can zero in on specific issues.
Just as an option, because
Yes,
we don't
ma'am.
want to deter anyone from completing it. So just
That's a
an
good idea.
option
Sure.
for that. I would never want that to be, a requirement. Just
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good idea, and the reason we did it this way, Ms. McDowell, was when I got here, I was told they did not want any connection whatsoever to a school because they felt like that could possibly, people could
Identify
That's
them.
that's right. So I've never considered that based off the feedback from the forum, but that's something I could ask the forum next year if they wanted to give the staff an option.
And like I said earlier, the State Department does have a 70-question survey for staff that we get the results. Unfortunately, the results come mid to late summer. So that being a preparatory thing for the next school year makes it a little hard to put things into place using that feedback. But we do completely evaluate that as well on top of this.
Dr. Smith and I talked a little bit, but top levels, anything is budget-wise that we may need to consider. I think the board needs to know about that prior to budget work sessions for next year, because there are some budget implications in this, which I am all for, but we need to know that we need to make plans ahead of time. for
We
that.
will definitely keep this process and expedite it in order to provide you with information closer to budget work sessions.
And that's a great point, Ms. McDowell. And this year, and this is our process of continuous improvement. Usually it's me battling through all of them. This year, I got the staff to help me because, I also have biases that, when I don't want to just be looking through my rose-colored glasses thinking everything's great. So I had Josh and his team, they have pinpointed, and I thought it was interesting that he ran it through AI. And, AI is good, but it didn't tell the whole story. It really didn't, because it confuses things. And it was neat to be able to have that discussion with Josh and his team of, it hit on some big parts, but also it missed some things.
It did.
And we were able to drill down by just doing the sweat equity and rolling up our sleeves, because it is hard to read. That's a lot. It's a lot. I know. I do it. I don't think the team was that happy with me that I gave them some reading. But it was good to get other feedback and then just to get other areas where we can improve on that, because I think that's a great suggestion about the budget. Mm-hmm. Speed this process up so that we can bring that to a work session.
So that the improvement column is very well presented. There's no negativity or angry or attacks. They're all warranted. And in special education and the extra physical demands on the teachers, they have tremendous overloads of paperwork and records. So I'm sure that that's very much warranted. It sounds really good, everything.
I have one last question. When you say you ran it through like the closed AI, so for a Google form, it will graph things for you. It will link common words and and give you a pie chart and all that. Is that what you're saying you guys do?
No, ma'am. So we have included in our Google Workspace, we have Gemini Enterprise in order to keep it closed. No
Okay.
human will ever read it. It doesn't get used to train other models. And so I use Gemini with probably about 17 different prompts just to make sure that I was seeing the same thing that it was seeing. And like Dr. Smith said, and I said earlier, it just doesn't have the human touch of being able to read context, because it'll ask a question and they'll phrase it, and it could be phrased either positive or negative. And even Dr. Brown and Ms. Tesnier and I are sitting and we're like, well, read the question again and then read it, just so that you know that the context to the response is appropriate. So I did use Gemini, full disclosure, but I used it probably 6 different times, 6 different new chats in order to ensure that I was getting the same thing that it was getting.
The emphasis on you guys put an eye on everything, everybody submitted, so everybody can feel heard.
Every word.
That's right, that's right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You may have told us earlier, how many people read the surveys?
They 227 respondents.
How many people read them?
Dr. Smith, me, Dr. Brown, and Ms. Tesnier read those surveys.
Do the teachers of the year, do they read them?
No, sir. I don't know.
Coach, I present that back to them. I present the summary.
A summary, but not
summary.
every respondent's answers.
Yep.
I know you said you were going to present to us plans for, just for all the improvements, but is there something that we relay back to everyone who submitted so they know that, hey, what I said may not be on here, but hey, they're looking at it and they heard me.
Great question. We're working with Jada and communications on responding, and that actually came from a staff member. Said, hey, this is great, but it's in the survey this year, but I would like a follow-up of something of what y'all are going to do. So we're working on a document to be able to send to the staff to tell them how we've heard them and then how we're going to address those concerns. So yeah, that's why I tell you, and again, the one award was born out of the surveys last year, because the teachers, it was just replete in the survey last year. We would like more recognition and more incentives. And not that we came up with a perfect solution. It's our first stab at it, but we tried, and they gave us credit for that this year. They saw effort. Our folks don't expect us to be perfect. They just expect to be heard and for us to give good faith effort. So we're already got the wheels turning about pep rally next year. One award. It's going to look different, be different, and going to make some improvements off that, because we got some feedback negatively about some things where we may need to tone it down in an area or two. So just good feedback, but we are working on that document.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Ms. McDowell, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you, Ms. Henner. Thank you, Dr. Loso. So number 3 on our agenda is public participation. Being that there is no public participation, we will move on to item 4. So next is our personnel report with Dr. Trish Beeson. Dr. Beeson.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and board members. Good afternoon. You have in your packet the personnel report for May 2026. I would ask at this time that you would approve the retirements that are effective at the end of the 2025-2026 school year.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation on behalf of the administration for the retirements listed in your board packet. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the retirements listed in our packet.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the retirements, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Beeson.
Thank you. Also in your packet were our resignations effective at the end of the 2025-2026 school year. I ask that you all approve those at this time.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation on behalf of the administration for the resignations listed in our board packet. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the resignations.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Hopper. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the resignations, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Beeson?
Thank you. And as you can see from the employments for the 2026-2027 school year, that our principals and their interview teams have been very busy.
Yes,
And
they
so
have.
I would ask that you approve the employments for the 2026-2027 school year that were found in your board packet.
All right, we have an administrative recommendation to approve the employments for the 26-27 school year as presented in your board packet. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve the employment for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Is there any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, I have one question. Dr. B, I noticed on, the personnel report, there was, one maybe a couple, I don't know, they were listed as new positions. Was that actually new positions or was it repurposed funds? Can somebody answer that for me?
Yes, ma'am. They were actually repurposed.
Okay.
They were posted as new positions because they were new to the school
Gotcha. Okay.
because of enrollment
All
in
right.
those particular grade levels where we needed additional teachers to keep that class size down,
Yeah.
like we want to keep it down. However, with retirements and some attrition, we're able to, in other schools, they were able to move folk around. And so we're
great.
able to repurpose those positions without actually adding a new position into the budget.
Okay,
So
that's
they are
great.
not added
I
into
just-
the budget new.
Thank you, Dr. B.
So no
You're
budget
welcome.
implications, yes.
Okay?
All right, any other questions? All right, so we have a motion and a second. If there are no other questions, all those in favor of approving the new hires, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you, Dr. Beeson.
Thank you.
All right, up next is the policy report with Dr. DJ Brown. Dr. Brown.
Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, members of the board, I think Ms. Brooks is going to pass out our hard copies of our policy report for tonight. Of course, these aren't anything you don't already have inside of your board packet electronically. But of course, I see a lot of you have your manuals with you, I think, or it might just be your operating budget or so. Regardless.
Got both.
Regardless, it's all right. So this is just part of something that you can continue to add to that board policy manual as we go through these and revise them. I'll give you a quick little surface level as to what you're holding right now. So I basically have one large, black paper clip, but also have 3 paperclip sections. The first one is just information for tonight. It's our readings from all of our policies that we'll be doing tonight. If you want to flip that first page. The next one is we're piggybacking, of course, with our Educator Assistance Acts. If you remember, we'll have a few up for second reading tonight. And then there are a few below that horizontal line that have the page numbers right beside them that we'll have up for first reading. And then as you move into the second portion right here, the additions, these are what you can go ahead and add to your board policy manual that I have like number for you for section G. So again, these are going to be additions, and these are going to be the ones that are up for first reading tonight. I want to draw your attention to the third paperclip, which is section I, our acceptable use of technology, our acceptable use of artificial intelligence, okay? Again, this is based on a bunch of your feedback that we had at our last board work session, which we had a great discussion as to what that will look like. And of course, I've added in there based on some of your suggestions in yellow highlighted text. I think you've already kind of seen those, just some things that we wanted to add, specifically as it pertains to, if you want to go all the way to IJND. Okay, and I'll give you the opportunity to get there. IJND is our acceptable use of artificial intelligence. And I want to draw your attention to that one specifically just to make sure that we take note of some of the new highlighted yellow sections. And I'll just wait a second for everybody to get there. So I believe it is IJND, not dash R, okay, IJND. And I believe it starts on line number 119. We talked about the AIU citation and disclosure, making sure that when students, if they're using artificial intelligence and it's been approved to be used by the teachers, that they're citing that. Okay, y'all made some really good points again in our board work session where we have to make sure we're teaching our students and prepare them. They're writing research papers, they're writing literature reviews. They have to cite artificial intelligence if they are approved to use that by their teacher. So I added that portion within, again, the policy. Okay. If you keep flipping to IJND-R, starting on line number 27. That's where he just found it most suitable to put that parent or guardian consent must be obtained prior to any student utilizing an AI platform in the school setting. Obviously, again, based on your feedback, that's very important as we go into pending adoption of this tonight, that we will get permission from parents or guardians for students to be able to use the artificial intelligence. The next one starts on line 37 right there, right underneath, student user groups. Anytime that we have an assignment, especially as y'all brought up, if we have students that have inevitably not opted in or not given consent to be able to use AI, we always want to make sure we have an AI-free alternative assignment that is of equal academic value or matches the same exact standard that the teacher is implementing in the classroom. So always making sure that there's an AI-free assignment. Again, we talked about reducing technology time a little bit with Mr. Loso and his review of the surveys. So making sure we're very cognizant of that. So those are the three highlighted portions that I have for you tonight as it applies to acceptable use of artificial intelligence for our second readings. And of course, based on what Dr. Beeson talked about, those first Educator Assistance Acts, those are state law. It's we can't deviate from that. So those are all in compliance with what the law tells us we have to have for those first Educator Assistance Acts. So again, I kind of want to stop there for these policies for the purposes of our second reading before I move into first readings. So I'm willing to entertain anything as it applies to our second readings for these G policies for Educator Assistance Acts or any of our acceptable use policies that we have on the table for tonight.
We'll go ahead and make a motion to approve them, and then if there's any discussion after the second.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, Dr. Brown.
Absolutely.
So is there a motion to approve the policies presented for second reading?
I'll make the motion that we approve them from the second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rowland. At this time, is there any discussion on our policies as presented by Dr. Brown for our second reading?
It's not a question, but thank you for all the work that was done. I was not able to be here. I was sick, but I've read it through several times, and it reads really nice. It's got a good flow.
Great
work.
collaborative effort, team effort on everybody's part.
Good
Thank you,
work.
Mr. Vanford.
Mhm.
I agree. Thank you so much for that, and the timeline, and also the process to keep us all on pace and make sure that we all understand. Very important policy, very important part of our responsibility. So we appreciate you coordinating that for us.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, we've had our first, and we've had our motion, and we had our second. So all those in favor of approving the policies presented for a second and final reading, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. So just moving on to our policies up for first reading. Again, these are ones that will kind of complete in its entirety those Educator Assistance Acts. As Dr. Beeson alluded to, she's already put business rules in place throughout the course of this school year to making sure we're in compliance with these. However, these will be officially part of the adoption prior to June before we start the new fiscal year. So again, all of these are founded in the addition section. So make sure that it starts on page 77, I do believe, with these. Mm-hmm. So you can just add these to your notebook that I provided with you last work session. And again, these are all up for first reading tonight. And if there's any questions about them specifically, I'm willing to entertain those. And of course, I know Dr. Beeson will be able to I can yield to her as well because this has been a collaborative effort with her.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. Reminder, these items are being brought forward for their first reading, so any discussion at this time, I'm sorry. Thank you, sorry about that. I'll start again so everyone can hear me. Thank you, Dr. Brown. So as a reminder, these items are being brought forward tonight for their first reading. So is there any discussion from the board at this time on the first readings? All right, being that there's no discussion at this time, that concludes our first reading of those policies. So thank you, Dr. Brown, so much
Yes, ma'am.
for that. We appreciate you. All right, so next we have Ms. Brady, who's going to join us virtually for the second reading of the budget. I think Ms. Brady has a son that's competing athletically tonight. Mr. Johnson, we are killing it in District 1. That is our Mr. Johnson, yes, has a son, I think, who's also competing at the collegiate level tonight. And just if you're wondering, Landrum and Chapman both are district champs in baseball officially right now. So Landrum just won, so congratulations, just in case you want to know. So we happily will turn the floor over to Ms. Brady if she's ready, and wish her son great success. And congratulations to everybody. I think Ms. Hopper has a grandson on the team, baseball team. Yeah, so, and that's right. And Mr. Skinner, that's right. Ms. Brady is going to present the fiscal year 26-27 budget for our second reading.
All right, Ms. Brady. Hold on. All right, try it now.
Okay, can you hear me? All right, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to join virtually. Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, I really do appreciate the opportunity to be down here to support my son. He had an okay day, but at this time, I will go ahead and get started on the second reading of our budget. So just as a summary, from an operations standpoint, there's really not much has changed from the first reading in terms of the general fund. The only thing that I did add to the operational budget was I did go ahead and insert an estimate for the second satellite class with McCarthy Tesler that we are starting this year at Holly Springs Motlow. So like I had explained before, there is a corresponding expenditure line item for this revenue as well as an expenditure line item. So as it stands right now, operating revenue and expenditures are at $68,594,524. And that's just a couple $100,000 more than the first reading. And again, that is tied directly to that new satellite class at Holly Springs Motlow. The second reading of the budget, it is still based on the House Ways and Means budget projections. We have not received any updated projections from the Department of Education at this time. But also in the second reading, which I will go over here in just a few minutes, I'm introducing the debt service budget. And what the debt service budget will comprise of is our current revenue estimates as well as our outstanding principal and interest payments as they stand for 26-27. Also included in your packet in this second reading, I went ahead and inserted the preliminary salary schedules, and those would be at the back of the packet. Just as an update, or just kind of as we've already gone before, as a summary for salary and fringe, in our operating budget, all sales in the teacher salary schedule have been increased by $2,000. This is an equivalent to a 3% increase for teaching staff. All teachers will also receive a step, which is equivalent to a 1% increase. So in total, all teaching staff will receive a 4% increase for 26-27. I'm sorry? Was there a question? Okay. All other employees will receive a total 4% increase, which includes a step. Also included in the operations budget is the employee Christmas appreciation that we will distribute in December. There is no additional increase for the employer or the employee premiums for state insurance that would begin January 1st, 2027. And there is no increase for the South Carolina retirement percentage for employer or employee contributions. And that has been frozen for a couple of years. Possible changes for the third reading, what can you expect as we move into June? We should receive some revenue projections from the Department of Education that is based on 135-day enrollment, and I'm hoping that we will receive those before we get to the third reading. There could potentially be a small increase in local revenue as we're still watching those the collections. I have one more month that I want to get before I finalize the local revenue collections, but if there is any increase, it will not be significant at all. Okay, so debt service. If you want to take a look, I will kind of go over the debt service in this PowerPoint slide, but if you want to take a look at your second reading, the debt service budget actually starts on page 25 of that document. This slide just kind of shows the summary of that. As it stands right now, we are projecting to receive about a little over $20 million in revenues for our debt service fund. I will point out that $14 million of that is local revenues. We have just shy of $700,000 in state revenues, and the rest of that is transfers in. And what that means, that's where we utilize our 8% bond capacity to issue bonds to pay some of our long-term debt as well as receive our capital funds. So it gets kind of picked up as an other financing sources and use, but we pay that off within the year as part of our principal payments. Taking a look just kind of like between 25-26 and 26-27, our local revenues are steadily increasing. If you want to look on page 26 of the second budget, that kind of gives you an idea of what our local revenues have looked like all the way back to 2020, 2021. I draw your attention to this because, as you can see, in FY 2021, we received just shy of $9 million in local revenues, and for 26-27, we're projected to receive a little over $14 million. So we've seen some pretty significant increases in our debt service fund over the past several fiscal years. Moving on to expenditures, if you turn to page 27, that sheet will show you what the principal and interest payments that are coming due in FY 26-27. This is what that looks like. You can see that if you look at last year, our principal and interest our principal has gone down. The reason why that has gone down, if you noticed on our revenues have gone down, which is tied to that. Is tied to our 8% bond where we issue that money to get our capital funds. And so that money is going to go down a little bit now that we are doing our bond referendum. But also if you remember what just happened, the board approved the selling of about up to $15 million in general obligation bonds to pay off our installment purchase revenue bonds. And so what that did is it paid off that old funding source and kind of refinanced it, if you would, into a general obligation bond. And so because we're doing that, we no longer have to issue that the debt in the middle of the year to make that payment. So that's another reason why the revenue and the principal payments have gone down. I hope that makes sense. Please feel free to ask questions if I've confused you, and I apologize. So currently the value of the mill, we are estimating that to be about $175,000. Our current debt service millage rate is 74 mills. All taxpayers are subject to school district debt service taxes, and this budget proposal does not include an increase in our debt service millage. Any questions on debt service before I move on? Good. Okay. So as we move forward, our final third reading and public hearing will be on June 8th, 2026. And again, I do not anticipate any significant changes between now and then. We should receive some updated estimates from Department of Education, and we will continue monitoring local collections. But I do anticipate that as we move into the third reading, that this budget will remain pretty much as it stands. Any questions?
Lacey, Ms. Hopper, yes, you know I have a question. Hey. When I was looking over the budget stuff today, I was just looking at revenue, and I wanted to make sure that, like on page 11, 12, and I think 13 covers our different types of revenue. And on the page 12, where it has the 1110 ad valorem tax, and then it has 1140 delinquent tax. In that ad valorem tax number, that also includes, our 13 mil and our teacher equalization is incorporated into that number, correct? That's where it shows your projections on that?
The 13 mills, no, ma'am, it does not show there.
Okay.
That would be, well, no, actually, you're right. I apologize. Excuse me. You are correct. Yes, Ms. Hopper. That's where it shows.
Okay.
I was looking at a different page.
Okay. And the teacher equalization?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Same thing. They're separate mills, separate entities, but they're all under that ad valorem tax.
Yes.
And
yes,
then
ma'am.
the delinquent tax just means that I look at it as ad valorem is paid on time, delinquent was not paid on time, but both those pots of money are going to go into that at some point. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That ad valorem tax, it includes all property taxes that we receive, including our vehicles, our real estate, our
Right.
teacher equalization, all of those.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Lacey, hey, it's
Hey.
Wanda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I do have a question for you, and it's on the summary budget changes on page 11.
Yes, ma'am.
So what if we are decreasing, and make sure I'm reading this right, by 209,000, where are we making that decrease? What are we missing? Where are those cuts coming from?
That's just gonna be, I don't have a complete detail. That was just kind of the overall change after we incorporated everything else. It's gonna be a combination of supplies, purchase services, because some of those things did go down this year. I don't have a complete detail of that, but I can provide that for you if you would like me to.
So it's not really a cut. We're just thinking that those are going to be savings.
Well, it's kind of like, it's almost like we've shifted some things, if that's the best way to put it. Like, in other words, if we spent it in a category last year, we're not spending it in the same category this year, so to speak. It's not really necessarily, I guess the way you could look at it, it would be somewhat of a savings in those categories. So it is a savings within the purchase services, the supplies, and those other accounts, not the salaries and fringe. So I don't want anybody to think that we're cutting salaries or removing positions, because that's not what that's tied to. If I look at some of the other things in the detail, it's mainly some changes in the supplies and purchase services. Some of those categories did go down overall.
Lacey, didn't we save in the area of copier when we rebid that out?
Yes, that's
pretty
definitely part of
significant.
those savings. So we, yes, sir, it was what, gosh, it was about $500,000 over a 5-year period. I mean, there was some significant savings there. So that is part of that number. And I'll be happy to list that out separately if you think it needs to be, but that is a portion of that number, or is the copier savings.
Okay.
I
believe our copier,
if there's savings,
I believe
that's
our copier
good.
savings
I'm sorry, go
was
ahead,
like
go ahead, Liz. You
$100,000
can't
a
see
year.
us, go ahead.
Our copier savings they amounted to about $100,000 a year.
That's good. Okay. I guess the only reason I was asking is because I don't want us to have to cut services and cut things that we need when we could have budgeted or something for that. So we make sure we're doing all we can for every aspect of the district. So that was the only reason. So if you're saying that they're mostly savings, then good job.
And I do want to thank Lacey and her team
Ma'am.
for bidding that out and making sure that we are getting the best bang for the taxpayer dollar. That was Kristen Hudson with our procurement officer led that charge. So we'll take $100,000 a year. That was fantastic.
Lacey, one of the things I think that when I was looking at this too, this 209, you know, it's you look up at the two lines above it and you see the satellite program and the Christmas appreciation. I mean, it's like, okay, did we cut somewhere to cover these two? You know, but you've answered the question. It was just the way with all that, the decreases and the increases, and we don't want to lose any type. If we have to add something, that's one thing, but we don't want to take away from anybody, schools, professional development, anything like that, to offset these other two things that we had to add, is how I look at it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I will say probably about $100,000 of that, probably a little bit more than $100,000 is the copier, but we also are utilizing some different funding sources next year, some state money to cover some of our software subscriptions. So in total, that $209,000, we didn't cut anything. We were just able to offset that with savings and utilizing other funding sources.
Miss Brady. Really quick.
Yes, sir.
It looks like you're doing a little bit of conservative budgeting on the delinquent taxes and the FILOs. Am I looking at that right? I'm looking at
Definitely
page
on the
26.
delinquent taxes. The FILO,
maybe just
the
a little
FILO,
bit.
I believe last year we received a little over 1.7 million. So I can't
Yeah.
really judge how much we're going to get every year, and the delinquent's kind of the same way. Sometimes we get $500,000 and sometimes we get around 300, 375. So yes sir, those are some conservative estimates just
Yeah.
based on what I know.
Okay, that's good. That's good to see.
Any other questions for Ms. Brady? All right, thank you, Ms. Brady. Thank you so much for joining us. I know this was a tough decision, but family first. So thank you so much for joining us virtually. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next, under finance, we also have Dr. Brown who will be joining us for an update on the capital budget. Dr. Brown.
I'm going to let Ms. Brooks hand out the new draft of the capital budget, capital improvement plan for you to be able to look at and see. And again, that is not a typo. I'm up here talking for Mr. McCraw. Mr. McCraw also has a son playing golf tonight, so I'm just not on the policy report tonight,
We're
guys.
getting our money's worth out of Dr. Brown.
Sure,
tonight.
absolutely.
That's all right. That's
Happy
all
to do it as well.
He's multitasking.
We've got so many talented people in our district.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. So, Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, members of the board, again, just want to provide, say, an update on the capital improvement plan, the capital budget. Just kind of want to take note specifically that there's no specific changes. If you remember from last month's regularly scheduled board meeting with the 3-year plan that we have. However, for a more detailed aspect of this and looking through it for your review, I just want you to refer to the yellow highlighted items. Okay, so the yellow highlighted items specific to the location or to the project, or on the far right, the estimated cost. So those have been added by Mr. McCraw to these things based on some feedback and just looking collectively from a capital standpoint for the district. So again, any item that is in yellow, it might be that on the left it's the location of where it's kind of being added, the project in the middle, and then on the far right, if it's only highlighted on the far right in yellow, it's just estimated difference in cost. So just a little slight cost change there.
Panorama subscription, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so you want to go ahead? Or,
I mean,
we got a lot of people that could talk about that tonight. Go ahead.
Josh, why don't you tell Ms. Hopper? That's a great question, Barbara. Josh.
I don't remember hearing
well,
that.
it's an addition.
Oh, okay.
It is
Yes,
what's in yellow
It's
is additions from Jason to the capital budget, and Josh can best explain that one.
So Panorama is a data analysis software, but also an MTSS intervention tracking system for us. It's something we've been lacking for a long time, is our ability for our teachers to see classroom and student data in a way that gives them the opportunity to individualize their instruction, but also to track intervention, which is one of our points of emphasis, is being able to provide our interventionists and our teachers the ability to track those interventions to make sure that we're doing it with fidelity. And so I'll be honest with you, I haggled with them for a long time and basically cut their subscription cost in half for something that our teachers are desperate for in order to facilitate a more higher level of instruction with a data specific interest. So it is a new software purchase, but it's one that I do think will have a high impact on student success.
And Barbara, the state used to fund, what was it, Enrich?
They did used to fund Frontline Enrich.
Yeah,
they
I
took it
remember
away,
that.
and they've added Education Analytics with Teacher Navigator and Student Navigator, or excuse me, Administrator Navigator. I don't want to speak ill of what they've provided us with,
Right.
but it leaves a little for desire from the teacher standpoint. And so we are one of the last 2 districts within the county to sign on to this Panorama subscription. So all 7, I believe, by the end of this school year, will have signed on for next school year. So it's
awesome.
it's a very important product for us moving forward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or points of discussion?
Just a quick question. I see the cafeteria renovation for Chapman. Is that just increasing the seating space, getting a little extra room?
Yeah, I think a lot of that too is kind of look at the arrangements of that. My conversations with Mr. McCraw, various seating arrangements, almost like phasing in different types of seating with different types of companies to have it be more flexible.
They're looking at getting rid of that coffee bar area. Yes, in the center where you've got those raised tables, they're looking at removing that. And then Jason added, that was not a new ad, it's just the price changed. He added, I believe it's about $15,000 to that. Don't quote me on that, but that's why it's in yellow. The cost went up a little on that.
I notice on this CGS too, we're talking about extended awnings at drop-off. That is something is desperately needed.
And that was,
I mean, when I sub there, I've experienced what those teachers, so I know that one for sure.
yeah, I was able to fill in for Mr. Darby last week when he was out sick, and of course it was raining, and got Well, I actually forgot the umbrella, but you know, I dodged the raindrops as best I could. But that was an addition. The last major addition, board, was Landrum Middle School. The sound system went out in the gym, and that's just occurred. So that is why that's being added. It just went dead recently, I believe. Was it Landrum High School? Landrum Middle. It was Landrum Middle. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
LMS.
Landrum Middle. Thank you, Casey.
So both Chapman and Landrum's, their front office and guidance office area, is it just furniture for the guidance? Our front office, is it? So that's a need? That's really needed?
Again, that was in there last time. I believe that
Okay.
cost just went up, right, DJ?
Yeah.
I
This-
believe that was I don't believe
Yes,
that was a new ad.
Is
I believe the
anything
cost
to
changed.
increase it? Okay.
Yes.
But both are equally needed.
That would be a Mr. McCraw
McCraw
question.
question.
I don't
Yeah.
want to speak for him on that. We can write that down, please, Dr. Brown.
Absolutely.
And we can get back to the board on that.
Any other questions on the capital plan or any additions or questions? For Dr. Brown in lieu of Mr. McCraw?
I think between Dr. Brown and myself, we did okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
think so.
wasn't as good as Jason.
I was going to
but-
automatically yield to Mr. McCraw for
Yeah,
any other
I'll
questions
I'll
if
give
needed.
myself a C minus, and I'll give Dr. Brown a
Yeah.
B plus, just because
Yeah.
he's a B plus kind of guy.
All right. All right. All right, if there are no other questions, thank you. Ms. Brady, I don't know if she's still on with us.
I think
Yes,
so.
thank you,
She's
Dr.
on.
Brown, for Mr. McCraw, for the finance report. So we appreciate it. Is it next as well? Okay. He's got the next one. Okay. Oh, well,
I'll just hang out up here, Madam Chair. Yeah.
all right. All right, finance. Dr. Brown. Operations, I'm
Operations.
sorry.
Operations.
I'm sorry
good.
about that. I thought I kind of thought we were in operations, so my apologies.
It's all right. It's all
Yes.
good. Well, this is, again, probably the outside of the student recognitions and being able to celebrate our students, probably one of the most things I'm excited about tonight. Because Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, members of the board, it's really my privilege to formally introduce to you our construction management partner for our bond referendum and building construction projects. And this is the team that we've selected that will serve as really our professional extension. And I really mean that too, for our staff throughout the course of these projects. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jim Britton. He's the president of LMG, and Jim brings an extensive experience in South Carolina K through 12 construction. And they're going to be able to provide him and his team. They'll provide comprehensive oversight, and it's definitely comprehensive in the amount of conversations and meetings that we've had with them, not only at the district office staff and our administration, but coming to our teacher focus meetings, meeting with the teachers, talking to them. That's been just awesome to see. They'll provide oversight for, of course, the new Opie Elementary School, the new T.E. Mabry Middle School, and the renovations and the additions of New Prospect Elementary School. And like I said, Jim's team has already been collaborating with us at the district office level, with our administrators at those respective schools, with our architects at Millen, Paz, and Smith, our construction teams, J.M. Cope and Thompson Turner, just to make sure that these projects remain on schedule and, again, within the confines of our budget. I will say this before he comes out, he's probably going to say it, but one thing that he has made clear is how wonderful the culture is here in Spartanburg 1. Just being a part of all of these meetings with the teachers at the school level, with all of us, interactions with you, he has continuously said that. So again, just kind of please join me in giving Mr. Jim Britton a warm Spartanburg 1 welcome, and I'm going to be passing around his program that he has also projected here on the screen as well. So, Mr. Britton.
Well, good evening. Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, members of the board, I certainly am honored for that introduction. I hope we tape that so I can replay it, but show my wife. But I'm honored to be here tonight, pleased to be here tonight for what is the first of many such building program updates over the course of this building program. Before we get into the agenda, I do want to take a moment and thank you for the trust that y'all have placed in us in managing your building program. We're not only honored, but my team and I are very excited about getting traction and the work involved in delivering these programs successfully, these projects. So tonight I'm going to spin through New Prospect, OP Earl, TE Mabry, review the management schedule. I'll be brief, but I think there's certainly some items that I think would be worthwhile spending a few moments on. All projects are currently in design, and I think it's kind of important that we all try to talk the same language. You'll hear me use acronyms and different syllables and different letters, and I don't mean to talk a different language, but it's what I speak every day, so I'd like for us to all kind of set the table with what that means. So I'm going to spend a few minutes before we get into New Prospect and talk about design process. So there's generally three main phases: the programming and schematic design. That's when the architect gets involved and kind of talks to you and try to listens and figures out what you want. At the end of this process, you're going to have 400 or 500 pages of drawings. We're completing a high school with McMillan, Paz, and Smith in a county just east, and the construction documents without the specifications were over 600 pages. So it's a lot of conversation that needs to take place in a collaborative effort, and I will talk about your culture in a minute, but collaboration is something certainly important. I've heard it 6 or 7 times tonight. I think that's a hallmark of a great district. That schematic design, we put together, the architects put together, the construction team worked collaboratively to try to, we know how much money we have, but we've got to buy a lot of other things other than just the construction. And so we worked through that, and we've passed this SD phase in all the projects. Then you have design development. That's when you really start getting into the nuts and bolts. You get engineering involved and kind of start working through the MEP, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. How are we going to do it? How efficiently can we do it? And once we get those items put together, then we go into the construction document phase, and that's when we're full engineering, vetting out, doing BIM modeling, 3D modeling, where we're making sure we're not having coordination issues above the ceiling. It really is a very helpful process. At each one of those phases, we conduct a milestone estimate. We also run cost modeling, for example, HVAC components. HVAC can be, there's a lot of different variations. Through wall, y'all have some of that in your district, all the way to a hydronic system where you have chillers and boilers. And there's everything in between. But each one of those phases, we're going through, as well as a contractor, running milestone estimates. And at the conclusion of each one of those estimates, we sit down with the contractor and reconcile them, making sure we're trying to identify, making sure the scope is correct. They've got all things in scope. We've got everything in scope. They're going to have some high water marks. We're going to have some high water marks and low water marks. We've got to reconcile them, and we need to be a plus or minus 5% at the conclusion of each phase, or we need to start massaging the scope to make sure we conclude the construction document phase with a GMP, guaranteed maximum price, that is affordable and awardable. So that's kind of a nickel tour on design phase. I'll answer any questions if you have any, but as I go through this, if I do use any words or acronyms that you're not familiar with, please just let me know. So New Prospect. The design process has been very inclusive and collaborative. Been very pleased with how it's been led by Mr. McCraw, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown, Dr. Smith. It's been a breath of fresh air. It's been inclusive, and we've reached out to get input from not only the administration but the end users, the teachers. Doesn't mean you can always do what they ask, but they've got a voice, and I think that's important. So right now we've completed schematic design and design development, and we're now in the construction document phase. We both have run, both Thompson Turner and ourselves have run DD estimates, and we're in the process of reconciling those now. Now this project, if you, our next steps are the early site package. This project is, it's not a super complicated project, but what makes it complicated is on a live campus. So safety is certainly at the forefront of everything, making sure that the operations of construction, which tends to be loud, we're doing it in a manner that is impacting the educational environment at a minimum. So we're going to get out this summer. Hopefully July is when that early site package will be issued. We'll start doing some of the horizontal construction, demo and site prep ready for the building package, which should follow seamlessly towards the end of the summer. One thing I should have mentioned, on the left side, project parameters, design, development budget, construction schedule. So development budget is your top line budget. That's your all-in, your trees to keys. That's not what you have to spend for construction. So we've had to go through, and we're in the process of doing that, is kind of reverse engineering it so that we can preserve and reserve monies for the cost for design, the cost for third-party testing that's required, the cost of technology and FF&E. FF&E is the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. You take the building, shake it upside down, everything that falls out kind of falls in that category. No sense in finishing the building if you don't have money to put furniture in it. So we've got to preserve all those components, and we back into what we actually have for construction. And on top of that, we want to preserve, you never want to award, especially on a addition renovation, you don't want to award 100% of what your construction budget is. We need to preserve some contingency because there are some things that we're going to run into, particularly on a renovation. So, new prospect, any questions? Move into OP Earl. Very similar in timetable with OP Earl. We're completed the schematic design phase and design development. We're in construction documents. As with new prospect, we are going to be pursuing and will be issuing an early site package. When we first interviewed for this program, OP Earl was identified as a 2029. We've gotten together and the whole team is on board with delivering it in 2028. Next steps would be that early site package, and it is going to be late summer, and then we'll be rolling into the construction documents, the GMP and the building package in December, January. This one is a $50 million top line budget. August 26 with completion and occupancy for August 2028, so the 28-29 school year. So TE Mabry, this one is currently a $70 million program, and I do want to bring this, I think it's worth talking through for a few minutes. The construction schedule is similar to Earl as far as releasing the building package. Right now we are investigating, pursuing, pushing for an early site package. It's about 165,000 square foot facility. It's an 18 to 20 month construction schedule. We're actually building, working with McMillan Smith right now, building a very similar middle school, 165,000 feet, and we're doing it in 19 months. That's the schedule for us. So it can be done. The key to delivering this, you see the asterisk behind 2029. The asterisk with that is getting an early site package out. And so part of that, it's not just here's the documents, go get started. We've got to go through AHJ approval, authority having jurisdiction. In our case, all school construction is a state jurisdiction except for site work and zoning. And so that'll be local. In some cases, we're dealing with several different municipalities. Landrum, for example, will be using, for their land disturbance, will be using the department, the DES, Department of Environmental Services. It used to be DHEC. So sometimes that's a 60-day process. Some counties it's taken longer. I'm actually pleased that we're going through DES. They tend to be a little more proficient or efficient. So with this, we are at schematic design phase. It's complete, and we're in DD. Both Thompson Turner and us have completed an SD estimate. We've done some reconciliation. We still have some reconciliation to do, but we're close. And again, the building package is scheduled for release in December, and we're pushing to get an early site package out before that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there a cost to have an early site package delivered versus what the schedule already was for the architect?
No, it's so we use early site packages a lot. It's a really great tool, and sometimes it depends on your delivery method. We're CM at risk here. It's a benefit for whether you start in December or you start in, say, October. You know, that scheduled component, it slides one way or the other. What you don't want is to have an early site package and then everybody goes away and then you come back. It needs to be seamless or overlap. And so my experience, I've been doing this, actually this week is my 34th year doing this. And it's, I can't remember a year that we have not used an early site or some type of a early type of release on a project. So those guys get to start, the contractors are allowed to get started earlier. We can start the submittal process quicker, and you know, the key to that is I've had some projects where we're closing a project out, still getting submittals, and so we're very we push very hard to get all submittals and shop drawings completed within 30 days to 3 months, and so it's a very tough process, especially when you're trying to fast track a project. So if you kind of get involved in a site package, which is fairly linear, you're not dealing with a whole lot of subs and trades before you start going vertical. It tends to give the project managers a little more time to get those in the system, and instead of here it is, get started. So that's my experience.
You said you had talked with J.M. Cope and McMillan Pleasant for O.P. Earl. Have you talked with Thompson Turner and MPS?
I've talked
to Mabry? Are they on board that they think they can shave points off of the schedule?
Well, I've talked to MPS, and they're on board trying to push that through. We're meeting with Thompson Turner this week, and one of the points in the agenda is that, so to push it through. So right now it's an asterisk. It's a goal. It's what we're going to push for. It is, but the problem with it is it's kind of the biggest issue is you don't have the luxury of when you start because you had a referendum in November, but November referendums typically are out of sync with August openings, so we try different scenarios and we try to employ different tools to get that. An 18 months schedule on this is difficult. The good thing is both your sites are really nice sites. I can't tell you the one I was telling you about that we're working with McMillan and on the high school. We had 1.4 million yards of cut and fill, and all the good properties have gone. That's what everybody built on first, and so these two pieces are really nice. This middle school site, less than 200,000 yards of cut fill, which is, that's great.
all these buildings, included in these budget is the landscaping and everything of the building included?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And that would be
Like
part
pretty.
of the GMP, the guaranteed
Okay.
maximum price of the,
Okay.
that'll be included and inclusive, and that is part of what our local zoning requirements. They have a minimum type of landscaping. You know, certainly, you want it to look nice, but you don't want to, you gotta strike a balance. Yeah. So, but that process is not, the landscape design is not started yet. And then the last item I have is the development slash management schedule. Couple points. The vertical line is today's date, where we are in overall process. Feel very good with the first two. We spoke of a good bit about the goal of pushing the 2028 opening. It's certainly not a foregone conclusion, but that is, you got to have a goal to reach and push for, and that's our goal. Time is very, it will be difficult to make 2029, but we certainly are going to turn over every stone to try to make it happen. I will say before I conclude, I do want to, I've had the pleasure of working, I know I don't look that old, but for 34 years in different school districts across the state, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. Both my parents were educators. My mom retired as assistant superintendent. So, you know, and I've worked in some districts that had great culture, and I've worked in some that are just tough to work in. This one so far is both Dr. Brown, Mr. McCraw, Dr. Smith. It's been inclusive, and collaborative, and it's a top-down driven type of a culture. And I'm actually very excited to come to Spartanburg when I come. And we're extremely excited about the program, and excited about continuing these updates with good information, good news. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
I would say I've been real impressed with Jim and his team so far. I'm not in all the meetings, of course. Jason and DJ are in. Jason's in all of them. DJ, I think, is in most of them. I just know I watched him with a team in there, and I just want the board to know he's advocating for us. And you know that was the contract, and he knows his business and was in there making sure that our needs are being met first. And we just appreciate that, and that's why y'all were selected. So continue to look out for District 1 and our taxpayers, and giving us the best product at the best price, and at a great job.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Britton.
That concludes operations report.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for Mr. McCraw. Mr. Britton, thank you so much for our operations and building program update. There's no other discussion. I think we've already thanked Ms. Brady. So next on the agenda is our executive session. So do I have a motion to enter into executive session for the discussion of proposed land acquisition?
I'll make a motion that we move into executive session for our proposed land acquisition.
Thank you, Ms. Hopper. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cothran. All those in favor of entering into executive session for the discussion of proposed land acquisition, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. We're now in executive session. Thank you.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Did we do that before? I think we do that once we come back. Yeah, I hit live stream first, right, Mark?
to record it.
To see that we coming out.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Turn that off, please, Barbara.
Security. Good. Let everybody get seated. All right. All right. Do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Hopper. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. We have a motion and a second to come out of executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Being none, it's unanimously approved. Do we have a motion that no action was taken while in executive session?
I make a motion that no action was taken during executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Gremlin. We have a motion and a second that no action was taken during executive session. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, none. Unanimously approved. Okay. I'll turn it over to Dr. Brown.
Madam Chair, Dr. Smith, members of the board, following the executive session, following several executive session discussions with the Board of Trustees over the past several months, including this evening, the administration recommends that a board approve the acquisition of approximately 87.6 acres of land adjacent to the eastern and southeastern boundaries of Chapman High School for future campus expansion. The proposed purchase price for the property is $5 million. This site has been reviewed and approved by the South Carolina Department of Education's Office of School Facilities. Upon approval of this recommendation, the board will authorize the chairman and the superintendent to execute all necessary documents to complete the purchase of this property.
Okay. All right. So the board has heard the recommendation from the administration. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the administration's recommendation to purchase approximately 87.6 acres of land adjacent to the eastern and southeastern boundaries of Chapman High School for future campus expansion. The proposed purchase price for the property is $5 million. This approval shall also authorize the board chairman and the superintendent to execute all necessary documents to finalize the acquisition of the property.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Cothran. Thank you, Ms. Hopper. Is there any discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the administration's recommendation to purchase approximately 87.60 acres of land adjacent to the eastern and southeastern boundaries of Chapman High School for future campus expansion for the price of $5 million. This motion also authorizes the board chair and the superintendent to execute all necessary documents to finalize the acquisition of this property. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Okay. All right, so that concludes our agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Gremlin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank y'all so much for a great meeting tonight. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.